People in extraordinary God. Check the reference in Ephesians 5. Walking in the light, and we sharing love. You know we keep it intact, cause every Monday got it coming, yeah, we're coming right back. So act like you know, we get on and rockin' at the Shani Show. You can talk to Shani anytime. Doesn't matter day or night. Shani, you get your life and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can talk about with Shani.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sharing with Shani show. I am your host, Shani McElwain, and I know y'all. I'm gonna get myself together. By the end, I am going to make a commitment that I'm going to have a light. I'm going to have a ring light by May. I'm going to have a ring light by May, and I want all of you to hold me accountable. So without further ado, so Mika Fresh will be coming on at the end of the hour, and I'm going to bring up my guest rather quickly. I don't really have any, thought-provoking things to say right at this second, other than I just came back from Dallas over the weekend. I was a part of the sold out book launch. One of my clients for Practical Partners, Cheryl Pilote Williamson, amazing visionary, amazing woman of God, radical, crazy faith walker. If you know her, then you know what I'm saying. But this is her fourth. Okay, Soul Talk, Soul Bearer, Soul Source, Sold Out. So this was her fourth anthology. She asked me to be in her book, and honestly, I have to be really honest. I did not want to be in her book. I didn't want to be in her book for a number of reasons. Namely, one of them, I didn't want to let her down. I did not want, but then also the book was called Sold Out. The book was called Sold Out. Inspirational stories of beating the odds with radical faith and prayer. And I had to really sit there, because I had a story that was perfect for this book, but I've never shared it. And I didn't want to share my story because there was some shame in there, some guilt in there, some just not, it wasn't a good time in my life. And yet, even through all that, I did it anyway, and I'm glad I did it. And I'm just gonna tell you to go get the book. Here's the book, Sold Out. Inspirational stories of beating the odds with radical faith and prayer. And so, but that's it. So that's what I did this weekend. Almost missed my flight coming home yesterday morning because, okay, y'all, look, I can't see. You've never seen me without my glasses, but I can't see. And about a week ago, my right lens, my glass is broke. Mika's talking about crazy glue it together. I've done that, Mika. It's not staying together. So anyway, my glasses broke, and so if I bend my head too low, the lens pops out. If I run too fast, the lens pops out. Like, we got to be very careful with these glasses. I'm trying to tell y'all. So I get off the plane. I had a connecting flight. I was in Kansas City, connecting from Dallas to Kansas City, from Kansas City back home to DC. My boarding pass said my connecting flight was at gate 38. Turns out it was at gate 33, and I tried to run with my glasses. That didn't work. Well, thank you, my co-author Jennifer Morris said my message is powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so so I'm working with these like remedial glasses. So bear with me. I can't wait. Hopefully by next Monday, I'll have some better glasses. Okay. But let me get into, I'm about to introduce Mr. Charles Davis. So I met Mr. Davis, Mr. Charles Chuck Davis, a year ago, almost a year ago, at the Indie Author Legacy Awards. He won an Indie Author Award. I believe, I don't want to get the category wrong, so I'm gonna let him tell you what he won his award in. But Charles Davis is an author. He is a father. He's a husband. Has a MBA. But he wrote this book, and he's gonna share because he shared during his acceptance speech when he wrote the book, right? And but over some incredible experiences, he has realized that some life experiences has helped him grow into the person he is today. And he has this book called Win First, Finish Second. Did I get the title right, Charles?
Close.
Okay.
It's win first, celebrate
second. Win first, celebrate second. Okay. Yes. And so but he is our special guest tonight. And I always get excited when we have a male come to the Sharing with Shani show, because for some reason only women like to come to the show. I don't know what's up with the men, but not calling out the men. And then he got his suit jacket on. I'm glad he didn't have a tie because I felt so underdressed. But thank you, Charles, for coming to the show tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just trying to see if I can look into the camera because I always look like I'm sideways. But tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I grew up in a state where there's not a lot of diversity, but I grew up in West Virginia, in Charleston. I love my state, love my city. There's a lot of powerful people from there, like T.D. Jakes, Randy Moss, lots of people. But I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the second to oldest. And I grew up with a lot of challenges and adversities, just like everybody else. But early on, I figured it's best to do certain things and not to do other things. Mm-hmm. So I tried to run with that. Didn't always work out. My life wasn't perfect. I didn't do everything perfect, made a lot of mistakes. But, I learned from a lot of things. And I think that helped me to grow into the person who I am today. And like you said earlier, I am married. I have a beautiful 7-year-old daughter. She's just to me. So I'm very excited about that. Mm-hmm. And every day I just see her growing into, the person that, she's been inspired to be. And as you stated earlier, for the Indie Award, I don't know if you can see it right here. I did win for
a little bit. Move it over. Can you move it to the left? Yes. Okay, there you go.
Right there?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I did win Author of the Year. This is my very first book. I've always written a lot of notes down and everything. Somebody saw my notes at work and said, hey, you need to put this in a book. And that's pretty much what I did. But I did win for personal development.
I couldn't remember if it was leadership, Charles, or personal development. So it was Author of the Year and personal development. I like to go back. One of the things you said, you grew up in a state where it wasn't a lot of diversity, and I grew up in a town where I was the only Black girl for a long time. At my school. And so grew up in a really small town in upstate New York. I wouldn't take anything away from that. It definitely strengthened me and helped me and molded me into who I am today. But
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that, because you led with that. So I'd like to know a little bit more of that experience.
Sure. So I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia.
Okay.
Like I said, I love my city, love my state. Just got back from there a few weeks ago. And I believe there's only 50,000 people in the city. And I think it's 17% African American, Black. So growing up there are some challenges. There's a lot of good people, but I did go through certain things, growing up, with different cultures and things, but you learn to adapt. You learn to get along with people. Like I said, I'm one of 6 kids. So, we come from a very large family. My parents, they come from very large families. So just growing up, in that environment, you really learn people. And I think that is something that's strengthened me throughout my life. It's definitely helped me, with my work experience, helped me to get along with others. Right now I'm with a company, I'm in finance as well. And it's global finance. So, I'm always dealing with somebody from a different part of the world.
Right.
So I think growing up in that kind of environment, helped me out with the challenges in life. About, never giving up, and always chasing after your goals and dreams.
And so tell us, let's get into the book real quick. Win
Sure.
first, celebrate second.
Yes.
When I immediately hear that title, I always think of, a lot of, especially in sports, how, people want to celebrate the free throw or the 2-point shot, but the game still on the line, right? They haven't won yet.
Exactly.
And so when I saw that title, I really wanted to share that with my kids. At the time I was teaching Sunday school, and I was like, I really wanted to share that with them, because I think oftentimes we it's the cart before the horse type of mentality. And so can you just share a little bit about where you came up with the title and your motivation behind the book?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The way I came up with the title, I think that was the 7th or 8th or 9th title that I came up with, because I was going in a whole different direction about motivation. And I just felt, God's Spirit talking to me about a lot of different things. And like you said, it does go back to sports and some other things. I grew up playing sports. I ran AAU track. And, a lot of times we do celebrate early in life, especially in sports, on certain things before we win, before we get to that finish line, and then someone else comes back behind you and, steals your victory. We could see it right now. That's just happened. The college basketball tournament just happened. Look at those teams. I mean, there were some teams that were ranked at the very top and got beat like the very first game. And I won't mention the team, but those things do happen, because sometimes you're looking at the finish line before you get there, and you start celebrating before you get to that, next event to get you to where you need to go to. So, and you asked also about what inspired me to write the book. Actually, I was going through a lot of things in life, through some diverse things that happened in the economy. And I remember just sitting at work, and I just started jotting, some things down that was going to benefit myself. I started listening to other motivational speakers. I was always trying to get around people who were more positive than I was, so that I would just, catch wind of, what they were doing. And someone saw some notes on my desk, and when I went to lunch and I came back, they were standing there looking at them, and they were just like, wow, this is powerful. You really need to put this into a book. So I started writing a book, and I really wrote the book. I didn't want to write it, but looking at my daughter every day, she was really quiet and shy, but she's extremely smart, the things very quickly. So I dedicated the book to her, and I really wrote the book for her, so that when she grows up later on in life, she can always look back to this and see, how daddy got inspired to do things in life to make it to where he was at.
And so would you so would your daughter be the source of inspiration for you, Charles?
Yes. Not just her, but a lot of other people in my life. I mean, my dad, he's everything. I mean, you go back to my city and you mention his name, everybody knows who he is. He's done so much there. I mean, I don't know if I could ever even live up to, those expectations, that he's brought into my life. Like I said, I ran AAU track.
Uh-huh.
He's the one who started track, him and one of his best friends, and they're still doing it. He started coaching football when I was there. He had been coaching for, almost 30 years. So, and he's done a whole lot of other things, in the community. And I've always said I have to give back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to get back. So I wanted to put this message out about my book and write some things in there, for some lessons that I've learned in life.
Right. And so let's talk about some of the lessons in the book. What would be a strategy for someone that needs to change their mindset about, put the work in first so you can celebrate after the work is complete. How would we take some practical steps to making that first, to putting in the work, to focusing on the setup for the celebration, if you will?
Okay. All right. I can think of one of the things in my book that I wrote about. One of my first jobs when I moved I used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I got a position. I was working for a company. I was assistant manager. Someone came in there and they said, they really liked my service that I've been given. They were watching me for, weeks upon weeks, and they needed somebody else on their team. So they almost offered me a position pretty much right there. I went to their job and did the interview. I got hired in. They said, hey, I want you to be the store manager, this retail store. So I was, pretty much on a high horse at that time because, it was my very first position to be in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So first day, I was getting training from the district manager, trainer. And, me and him, we hit it off pretty well. Day two, I come in and district manager got fired. So he was my trainer. And from that point on, I really didn't have, the help that I needed to be successful at, where I needed to be. But I knew that I couldn't give up. This was my position. This was something I needed to figure out. So I had a really good team there. We had to go through some changes, of course, with some people, but they were going to close my store. So, and they told me, hey, don't worry about doing this. Don't worry about doing that, because we just have you here training because we're going to move you to another store once this one closes. My response to myself was, that's fine, but I'm still going to do the best job that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And to make a long story, instead of them closing my store became one of the top thriving stores in the district, and they wound up closing another store that we had that was close by.
Wow.
That was basically our number one store at the time.
Wow.
But I did it through just, I dedicated myself to just doing the best job that I can and bringing in the best people that I could and surrounding myself with those people. And everybody brought something, to the game. Mm-hmm. We were all different. It was very diverse. People had knowledge about certain things that I didn't have. Mm-hmm. And just bringing that team together, helped us to basically win.
Right.
and celebrate second. Right.
Right. And I think that's funny. And I think that's an awesome testimony too, about just because, you went in there thinking that your store was going to close, but you put your best effort in, and look how that turned around. Mm-hmm. So, that, right. So I don't know. I just got real holy because I was like, man really doesn't have the final say of things. Like,
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
We're talking live with Charles Chuck Davis. He's the author of Win First, Celebrate Second. If you have a question or comment, you can definitely drop them in to the comment section, and I'll read them off for Mr. Charles. And can you share, Charles, where can people get the book if they wanted to get the book, and how they can contact you? Do you do any motivational trainings or speaking?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you can get my book. I'll hold it up right here. Yep. It's called Win First, Celebrate Second. You'll see my picture on the back. It's right here. And you can get my book it's on Amazon.com. It's on Barnes and Noble and Books A Million. You can also go to my website. It's increasechampions.com, and that's INCREASECHAMPIONS.com. And from there's contact information. If you'd like to, book me to come out and do motivational speaking, I would love to come to your business or your church or organization, and just, drop your information in there, and we can definitely get in touch with you.
Awesome. How long did it take you to write the book, Charles?
Wow. From when I decided to do it, when I really focused in on doing it, it took me 8 months to complete. And the funny part about that is I was writing just about every day, every night. And I would go to bed about 11 or 12 o'clock. Then I would get up at 2:30 in the morning and write from 2:30 till about 4 or 4:30, go back to sleep, get up at 6:30 to go to work. So I was tired when I was finished writing the book.
I guess so. And I hope I get the story right, but when you gave your acceptance speech last year, did you say that your wife didn't know you was writing a book?
That's correct. Yeah, she had no idea, because I didn't want anybody to influence me on a lot of things. So I wanted to write the book from, what I felt God was giving me to put into the book.
Right.
So I didn't tell her. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell her. I didn't tell my daughter. I didn't tell my brothers and sisters. Everybody was pretty much shocked when I sent an email out and like, hey, I got a book. It's coming out next week.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, from one author to the next, I definitely understand those late night writing spurts and all. In any plans on book number 2?
Yes, I'm actually working on my second book.
Okay.
Hopefully, I have a deadline of the same timeline that I had for myself for this one. So hopefully be out in November. That's my goal, maybe earlier, but definitely by then, my second book should be out. It's going to be a sequel to the first book. So, if you love the first book, you're definitely going to love the second one. I have a lot more things I'm opening up about in this book about me. So yes.
Okay. And can you share one in your bio? You said through many trials and failures, you gain knowledge. And so can you just share a particular time in your life that was a challenge or a business failure? It doesn't have to be something personal, but a business failure that helped you grow and helped you grow, and then in turn, win.
Yes, I will talk about. Yeah, I used to be in retail management, and that's kind of where I was at before I received any of my degrees or anything that I have. So I was doing pretty well in that, but certain things in life happen, and then things change, like the economy. So during that time, when I was, pretty much at the top of, my retail management game, 9/11 happened. So from there, the businesses completely started changing. And with that, became store closures and other things. So this all happened after the first story that I told you, but our business downsized, and they basically cut out half of the entire company, so half the management team, half the employees and everything. So that happened to me. So I had to figure out, what was I going to do next? So my wife, who definitely inspires me in life, said, "Hey, you need to go get your degree." So, you could, start in a different, kind of setting and things for, what I wanted to do, because I wanted to get into certain parts of business, and, running companies and things like that. So I went back to school, started working for a different company, started managing, other businesses. So out of that, I got my bachelor's degree, and she said, "Oh yeah, you got your bachelor's, you might as well just keep going." So I went on and got my master's degree. And then I heard a speech from, President Obama. I can't remember if it was like in his inauguration speech or one of the speeches he had right before he became president, but he talked about going back to school. He talked about how all of us here in the United States were getting beat out by other countries in certain fields and certain areas. So I decided to go back to school for that. And right now, at the end of the year, I'll have my doctorate degree.
Oh, so, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was just in DC. Yeah, I should have called you when I was there.
Yeah.
I had to go in for a conference for that, for my doctorate and everything. But I just came back last 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I started in retail management years ago and realized that I was right there on the fast track of going into I ended as a supervisor, because once I knew that once I became an assistant manager, that was it, right?
Yes.
And it was no turning back. And I was just like, I got out of there real quick. I was like, and sometimes it's funny because I had a manager. This is now I'm probably telling my age. Well, everybody know that I'm almost. How old am I? 40? I don't know. I'm in my 40s. Anyway, I remember this manager. Oh, Ty David says hi, Charles. I had a manager. I had a manager that would always say, she would say stuff like, "If y'all don't like it here, McDonald's is hiring." And I didn't have anything against McDonald's, but that was her.
Right.
That was like she tried to use reverse psychology on people, and I was like, no, I think there's more out there. I think more out there, and I went to go explore more, because I'm like, I didn't want that to be I didn't want to feel like I was settling. And so yes, I definitely understand about those long nights as being retail management.
Yes.
We're speaking live with Charles Davis. If you have a question or a comment, please do not hesitate to drop it in the comment section, and we'll definitely get to your questions. And his website is on the screen there, increasechampions.com. The book that we've been talking about tonight is Win First, Celebrate Second. And what does a win look like to you, Charles?
That's a really good question. For me, I'm the type. I'm really competitive, just from growing up and playing sports. So I'm the type of person who, and I told somebody this today who I was speaking with as well. I'm the type of person, I hate to lose more than I like to win, which is kind of crazy. But we all have wins in life. You set goals for certain things and you accomplish it. I think that's a win. But for me, even though you accomplish something, there's always more out there. We always are striving to do better, to either achieve more or, to do more. And for me, winning is not just about myself, but it's also about other people, who I surround myself with. I love when, when my team wins, like, I've worked with or, work with now, or people who've helped me out, with increased champions, we all, win together. So, I think you set goals, you set a mark, you hit it, and then you look to gain more. You look to do better, look to be more.
Absolutely. And I also think that we shouldn't just settle for the first win. Like, you can keep
Right.
going. There's always room for more growth, for better. Right.
Right.
So it shouldn't stop with that first taste of victory, if you will. Right.
Yes. Yes. Right.
And so, Ty posted 2017 ILA award-winning author. Yes, in personal development. Yes. He pulled out his. Yes. Put your ILA award? Can you show it again?
Oh yes, sure. It's all glass. I don't want to drop it.
So. Right. Yeah. There it is. That pretty thing. Yes. So
so fortunate.
Right.
So blessed.
Yes. And hope there's a special announcement coming that I got the inside scoop on that. So a special announcement coming this week for 2018 ILA. Wow. Yes. So if you are I don't even want to say if you're just an author, because if you are an aspiring author, if you are a writer, so you haven't even published anything yet, if you just want to be motivated, like, this is an event that you really should come to, because
absolutely
the inspiration and the power in that room is amazing. And oh my goodness, it's just so many great things that are about to happen in 2018. So I'm just excited. I'm excited. Final thoughts before I let you go tonight, Charles. What would you say to that person that just doesn't feel like, that, like, they need that motivation? They need that upstart, that kickstart to motivate them for success. For personal development growth. What are you saying to that person? Or you can answer either or question, because then I had a really good one. What would you say to your 20-year-old self now that you know what you know? I like that question better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What I would say to my 20-year-old self is do all you can while you're 20 years old. Life is going to change and things are coming your way. If I knew everything that I knew now, I would have invested more and done more in my 20s. Funny you should say something about that. When I was 22 years old, I almost opened up a franchise. I won't say the name of the organization, but I did all the research. I went to Cleveland, Ohio. Me and a friend, we sat and ate at this restaurant, and I kind of fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this would do great back home. I tried to open up that franchise back home. Did all the research, went to the bank, I wrote a business proposal, and I did all these things while people were telling me, you can't do that. But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do this. So every day I was just focused in on it. So make a long story short, I get to open up the franchise just because someone had the rights to the state. I didn't know that till the very end. But I did all the work, I did all the research, and it just taught me that anything's possible in life. Doesn't matter how old or how young you are. Doesn't matter what you're going through. We're all going through something. The people that you see who are, driving the biggest cars and, you think they got all the money and life is just perfect for them, they're going through something too. So that time in my life, people I looked at, who I thought like, wow, they have no problems and no issues. They told me, yeah, I'm having problems and issues as well. I just continue to keep going and to do something about it, to make the change, to, you know, focus in on certain things, to motivate myself every day, because those people who are the most successful in life are usually getting up earlier than everybody else and doing more than everybody else. You may not think, but they're doing things when nobody else is watching them. They're doing it without someone patting them on the back to say, hey, you can do it, keep going. They're just doing it because they're doing it.
Yeah.
So something I can say is, if I was 20 years old again, when that franchise slammed the door in my face pretty much, I would have turned around and opened up another one. I would have done more. I would have, you know, not stopped. I would have not quit. I would have just done everything that I could in life to make myself get to pretty much where I'm at today. You know,
Right.
I could have done that at that age.
Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned franchise, because immediately when you said you were, you know, you were in Cleveland and you went to a restaurant that you liked, I started to think about the, you know, the McDonald's story. I mean, because that's how McDonald's was. That's how it happened. Ray Kroc, he saw these fast burgers being produced, and he liked it. Saw an idea, and he did not stop. Like, if you watch that movie, he didn't stop. Now, I know movies are kind of embellished for entertainment, but he did not stop. He was relentless, right?
Relentless, yes.
And same with I just learned a couple months ago that the person that came up with the formula 409, the cleaning, I don't want to have to pay, so don't come at you. But anyway, they named it that because it was 408 times it failed. It failed 408 times. Right? So they didn't stop.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And it's just I hear these stories a lot, and I'm reminded of our need to persevere through, even with the no, to keep going, right? Even if it looks like, you know, maybe you're going to have to go back and, you know, rearrange some things on the plan, but keep going, you know, don't stop, right?
Yes.
And so that's really good. That's just that I'm just talking to myself right now, I'm motivated my own self. But thank you so much, Charles, for coming on tonight. I appreciate you. When the new book comes out in November, definitely come on to, you know, give I have a 10-minute segment that you could come on and put the book on the air so people can see. And so definitely, you're no longer, definitely don't be a stranger to the Sharing with Shani show.
Oh, I definitely will not. And thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I definitely appreciate you. And meeting you last year was just phenomenal. You and all the other people I met, you know, at the award show, it was just incredible.
Awesome.
It's a life-changing moment.
Yes. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
All right. You as well. Thank you.
Take care. All right. And so we had to change things up a little bit. Usually you get Mika at the top of the hour. Tonight you get her at the end of the hour. And so without further ado, our wellness whisperer, Miss Mika Fresh, how you doing?
What's good?
Nothing. The fact that I wore gloves in April. Like, so yeah, that's
today.
Yes,
in DC.
In DC, I was cold. It was freezing. I was like, I don't have any gloves, and then something said, check your pockets, and I was like, oh wow, I have gloves, and I put them on because my hands was cold.
All right.
Yeah,
I know. My husband was picking out his clothes last night, and I think I asked him, like, he picked out something that, you know, he doesn't usually, so against the uniform he normally wears or his particular choice of clothes. And I was like, oh, okay, trying to, you know, switch it up. And then we checked the weather, and I was like, yeah, no, pull your jeans back out. So I was prepared for it to be chilly today, but I don't know. I think in my mind it's spring. So I had on this like neon pink blazer with a shirt, some slacks, but I didn't have a scarf on. I didn't have a hat on. And I went out in the middle of the day in between clients, and I was like, yeah, I need to make this real quick. It's and it started to do this like little misty thing. It was very chilly.
Right.
Very chilly. But I think my warm spirit, my anticipation of spring kept me warm. It didn't. I was just like, whatever. I know everybody was looking at me in my bright pink jacket. I was like, whatever. It's springtime to me.
That is so funny. So Mika, what is our wellness tip what's our whisper for the day, for the week?
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we were, it was, are you ready for a healing crisis, right?
Yes.
And then kind of, you said something, the brainstorming that we usually do. So then I was like, well, next week we'll talk about like, how do you prepare for a healing crisis? Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to know if people really even understood the concept of a healing crisis. And so, if you're a new listener today, you can catch the replay from last week. And if you listened last week and you didn't understand it, hit me up. But basically a healing crisis is like, when we scrape ourselves, like our skin, when we break the skin and we have a scab that grows, that scab is itchy. Sometimes it can hurt, but it's itchy. It's like bothersome. That's a healing crisis. We need that scab. People that pick at the scab, their wound usually doesn't close well, or to leave a scar, a worse scar than it would if you had left that scab there, right? So that's kind of maybe an easier analogy to process of what a healing crisis is. So it's like, it's an oxymoron. How can healing be a crisis? Yeah, it's an oxymoron. So it's a healing crisis because it's breaking the homeostasis that we're used to. It's breaking it, and it's breaking it for a good reason. So it becomes a crisis because it's not our norm. It feels worse than the things that we were doing, so we're like, I dropped a bad habit to go through this. Like alcoholics who quit drinking, they go through like one of the worst withdrawals ever. And, some people feel like, well, I should keep drinking if this is what I have to go through. Hi. So, no. She thinks I'm just FaceTiming somebody. Mommy's doing a radio show. So, yeah. That's the healing crisis in a nutshell. So how do we prepare for it, right? And it's kind of the same way that a person addicted to substances would prepare for, for their healing, right? Anytime we change up our routine, it's a good idea to prepare for it because the effect of that change can hit individuals very differently. So I think the first step is to be honest about what is about to change. Mm-hmm. Right? And in order to be honest about what is about to change, you have to have a very clear idea of what you wish to change. Right. So this calls for a little bit of long-term thinking. We got to think, a little bit ahead, a few steps ahead. So, chess players, we're always thinking, I'm an avid chess player. I'm always thinking a few steps ahead. Okay, if I make that move, he'll make this move. And if I make that, and consequently, I'm always thinking a little bit ahead than the present moment. So to prepare for a healing crisis, I think that long-term thinking is very necessary. And I don't mean years into the future. I mean, even just at the end of the week versus tomorrow. Whatever that change is, it's going to trigger something because it is not, your usual. It's not your ordinary. It's not your routine. It's different. How is that change? How is that difference going to affect you? That is step one of preparing for a healing crisis. And then step two, I'm only going to give y'all 2 steps tonight. So step 2 is once we realize how we're going to be affected by this change, we have to kind of like do an assessment. Okay, how severe is it going to be? Can I handle this by myself? Do I need to call in for reinforcements? When we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, I was talking about like a physical health healing crisis. And I was saying when an individual, say, detoxes, right? When you decide you're going to go on a juice fast, a dry fast, which is like what most spiritual people are used to, where you don't consume anything. That's a dry fast, right? So a juice fast, you're only consuming juice. A water fast, you only consume water, etc. So when we do something like that and we restrict and deprive our body of physical food, our body reacts because it's not used to that. When we continue with it, when we get consistent with it, our body reacts some more. But it's also finally starting to work. That fast is starting to work. So we feel headaches and we're like, how am I feeling a headache when I'm not consuming caffeine? When I'm not eating a whole bunch of sugar and fried foods. And you'll hear people say like, well, that's the toxins leaving your body. So when we've built up this certain level of toxins, AKA bad crap, that isn't normal for us to have, even if we've had it for a while, when it's leaving, it physically leaves our body. So it's moving. So if you have toxins in your head, if you have toxins in your arms and your stomach and your feet, wherever it is, it's moving. Our body, our system moves constantly. It's always moving. And it exits through either our lymph system, which is like you sweating. Your liver metabolizes it, so it comes out in your poop, or your kidneys process it and it comes out in your urine, right? So it physically exits the body. And that movement is what you're feeling that causes the crisis. So in a spiritual crisis, what is it that you're feeling? This is what I'm telling you how to prepare for. So you think about the change and then the long-term consequence or effect of said change. And then there are a couple more steps, and we'll talk about that next week.
And I think that there is you have to name it. You have to name it and own it in order for you to even prepare for it.
Yep.
Right? So this is deep, Mika. Just like definitely a whisper tip.
All right.
Yeah. So
honesty is so important, even at a molecular level, even if we're not talking about, I can never remove spirituality from anything, because I don't care what you believe in. We are spiritual beings. We are.
Yeah.
It's like nobody can tell me otherwise. You just can't. So if you remove religion from it, it's like there are still systems and processes happening that we have no control over.
Right.
So the honesty part of it is like people who are diabetic and they don't want to think they're diabetic. I'll just take some insulin and, like double shot. It's like, it ain't 2 for 1 night. You can't just double shot yourself some insulin and think everything is going to be all right. Absolutely every single thing we do to this being, this flesh, this person, it has an effect. You may not always feel it or see it immediately, but it is there. And so the honesty part is very necessary to any type of healing, because if you don't name it, right? If you don't put it out there, what you working on?
Right.
What are we doing? We're just wandering aimlessly. You know, you and that wandering, you may see some results, but you'll probably have no clue what they are, how you obtain them, how to repeat that, you know, how to dig deeper. You're just gonna be like, oh, I lost some weight, but I don't know how I lost weight. I was doing like 25 different things at a time. So I'm not really sure how to continue losing weight because I don't really know what worked. Right. You know, I don't really know what I was doing. I was just doing like, well, I heard this on this show and I read that in that book, and then somebody over here told me, you know, like it's that's wandering aimlessly. So you may shed a few pounds in all of that, but can you do it again? Can you maximize that effect? You know, can you zone in on what it was, how it worked, what you were feeling? Nope. I just lost 7 pounds. I have no clue what it was, but you know, I'll lose 7 more. And you're like, not really. The thrill is gone.
Right.
You know, you probably won't be able to repeat that. So putting a name to it, you know, we really do have to cut the crap with ourselves. Like if we can't be honest with ourselves, the prognosis is poor. You know, we can fool around with other people. Like Shani, I can shoot the breeze with you all day and make you think I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But if I can't be honest with myself, there is a serious problem, and it's bleak. You know, it's
absolutely,
it doesn't feel good.
And you know, there's this song. Well, so you know the song "Lemon" by Rihanna, right? So there's a song. So at the beginning of the song, Pharrell says, "The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off."
Right.
And I think in the radio, it's messed up because the radio doesn't share that version.
I know.
So they need to play that part. That's the best part of the song. That sets the song up. Right? And it's so true, because sometimes the truth is going to, you know, we always hear the truth will set you free. You know, the truth, honesty is the best policy, blah, blah, blah. But real, authentic, core hitting truth is going to, it change. It's life changing. I was in Texas. I was in Dallas over the weekend, and I was at the sold out book launch, and I had a friend who is very, very, very honest, like brutally honest, to the point where people think she's mean, right? And I'm just, you know, I don't think she's mean. I just think she's just honest, right? So I was sharing with her a challenge that I'm having, you know, in terms of getting capital for the business, and just, you know, and really trying to figure out how to, you know, rebuild credit after bankruptcy and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know, I probably should get a secure card, but I don't know why I haven't done it. And she says, well, when it starts to become important to you, then you'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, it would have been like, "What you mean?" Like they just would have went right. But I had to sit in it. I had to name it, because I put it out there. I put it out there. I was like, I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I can't. I don't have an answer. I don't have an excuse. I don't have anything. There's no reason, right? Because I said I told my mentor I was doing it 3 months ago. I'm gonna get him. Okay. I'm gonna get a secure card. I already had a financial plan, how it was gonna help me rebuild credit. Blah blah blah. Haven't done it yet. And she said, "Well, when it starts to become important to you," and I was like, "Wow, yeah, that hurt." But I needed to hear it. I had to hear it.
Yeah, and I think what sets you apart and other people who can't accept, you know, truth and honesty, who have a different perception, is that when you're ready to grow, when you commit to grow, then these truths, they sting, but they don't knock us off our rocker.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, man, yeah, you're right. It hurt. Give me a minute. Let me process this. It hurt. However, you're not going to be mad at her. You know, you're not going to be like, well, you know, defensive, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I used to get that a lot. A lot of people still do think that I'm a mean person. I'm like, wow, I always say it's my filter, right? It's
Right.
how I kind of it's a subconscious thing. I don't do it on purpose. It's just kind of how I weed out who is going to be good energy for my life and who isn't. You know, you really can't take a little bit of honesty. Yeah, you're probably going to be too high maintenance for me. I don't have time for that. You know, I got goals. I got goals in mind. And I would like to say that being honest doesn't mean we intentionally go out to hurt people's feelings, you know, in the name of truth. That's not how it is at all. Because I have had to learn how to finesse my delivery.
Right. I love that. Oh, I love that. How to finesse your delivery.
I had to because think about it. If your calling in life, if God's will for you in life is to help bring some light to people, if your delivery is jacked up, you're not working in that will. You know, you're being counterproductive. So it's like, it's an art to it, which is why I said finesse, because it really is an art to it. Once I realized, okay, you know, we got to learn some people. Once I realized this, if I say this person is sensitive, they ain't ready for me. Like, I'll be very honest. When someone asks for my opinion, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think you really want my opinion, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I'm not going to blow, below the belt, but I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. And I don't really feel like you're ready for my opinion on it, my perspective or whatever it may be. And if that person keeps pushing, I'll be like, okay, so here it is in a nutshell. Right. And the friend in me, the empath in me, the love in me will help you process whatever it is that I just said. Well, why does it bother you so much? Why are you defensive right now? What's going on? Because it's never me. And it ain't even really what I said or even how I said it. It's just that I said it. And when a person isn't ready to grow, because being ready to grow means acceptance, right? It doesn't necessarily mean awareness. It just means acceptance. If you don't always know what it is, but you're going to accept what it is, then we're ready to grow. We're ready to change. We're ready to move forward. And that person can, shake it off a little bit faster. So when your friend said when it becomes important to you, you'll do it, it probably was like 30 seconds where you was just like,
yeah.
Well, she's that point. Yeah. And I always, like my mom, my husband, even my pastor, I'll be like, give me a minute. I'm all right.
Right.
I'll probably cry when I get in the car, but I'm okay. I'm going to listen. Like, I'm going to take this lesson.
Right.
Because I've always been at the place where I was ready to grow. I think I was kind of groomed that way. It's never been okay for me to just stay where I am. I've never been comfortable with that. Right. So if somebody, they say you got thick skin. Okay. I do. I know I can take it. But I have feelings too. And I think the healthy part of that is just process your feelings. It may not feel good. I said to a trainer friend of mine, I'm ready. I want to lose weight. I don't understand why I can't lose weight. Like, it's hard for me to be consistent. I get up this time in the morning, and then like the next morning, oh my God, I'm so sleepy or whatever. And she was just like, it's not important to you. I was like, what? What do you mean it's not important to me? Yeah, of course it's important to me. Just, no, it's not. It really isn't. I'll tell you what, it doesn't bother you enough. Something bothers you enough. So it may not always be important, right? When it bothers you enough, you're definitely going to make that change. When you become uncomfortable enough, when you become, my syllables are all jacked up today. When you become uncomfortable enough, you will make a move.
Yes.
Really believe that. You will. And so that's another way to say what your friend told you. Maybe it is important to you, but you're just not uncomfortable enough.
Right.
We adapt easy, you know? You'd be like, I want to lose some weight. I'll wear a girdle today.
Right.
I'll put my waist trainer on. I'll get that dress one size bigger and then have it taken in to fit the parts that don't fit right. You know, that's comfort. We're still comfort.
Absolutely.
We're still comfortable. The moment those things don't work and then we don't have an out and we don't have an alternative and we have to sit in it and be affected by it, then we'll change it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like that was a whole sermon.
It was. It was because
tell the saints, when you get sick of sitting in it, then you'll come out of it. That's what God tries to do to us. He tries to make us so uncomfortable in our mess that we don't have any other choice but, all right, God, get me out of it. You know, like I'm ready to move out of this. What is it that you've been trying to tell me all this time?
Exactly.
What would you like for me to do? I'm listening. You have all of my attention because this is too much, you know?
Right.
And that's why I said before, like, don't wait till you're sick and tired to make a move because it don't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good stuff, Mika. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on every Monday night.
Certainly. Thanks for having me. I love being here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. So, we'll be back next Monday.
Okay.
And Monday the 16th. And you can see that. So we have Anika Stewart will be our special guest. See you next Monday. Mika, before we go, how can people get in contact with you?
At I'll Drink to That Juice Bar, ILLDRINKTOTHAT Juice Bar. On Instagram and Facebook, that's the handle. And the website, I'llDrinkToThatJuiceBar.com.
Awesome. This is the Sharing with Shani show, highlighting ordinary people working for extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. You can catch us next Monday night right here, Facebook Live. Thank you. God bless you, and peace.
Peace.
You can talk to Shani.